Welcome back to the Different Breed podcast. It's been quite a while since we've done an episode, but we're back and we're going to be back with a good episode here. I'm here with one of the incredible coaches from Different Breed, Coach Geeta, aka Superwoman, which I know isn't like actually your nickname, but if someone asks me like, who's Geeta, I'm like, Superwoman. She can do it all. So that's how I'm going to describe you today.
I like
And
your
I'm really,
nickname.
it's a good nickname, but you could use it for your jiu-jitsu nickname, which is why I'm excited to speak to you, because obviously you've just come back from winning gold at the Paris Open. It's your third competition of the year. You won gold at Europeans earlier in the year, which I got to watch, which was very, very cool. So I'm excited to talk to you about that. But as this is the first time we've had you on the channel, I'd love you to just introduce yourself a little bit. Obviously, you've been working with Different Breed for over a year now, which has gone very, very quickly. And it's, very exciting to work with you. I love it. But I don't know how much like the community of people watching will know about you. So would you just like to tell us a bit about like who you are and what got you into coaching?
So I'm Geeta. I've been coaching for around 10-ish years. So I've been PTing
Okay.
and had a bit of a career change, obviously, 10 years ago. Got into training actually a bit later on in life.
Okay.
So it was after having my children.
Oh,
I had my two
really?
kids. Yeah.
I
So
didn't know that. No
yeah.
way. I just
Yeah.
assumed you always trained. No way. Okay.
No, well, I've always been very sporty. I did cross country when I was younger. I just loved doing loads of sports, but it was never really encouraged in my family. Just
Okay.
culturally, for me, it was more, we were kind of like pushed towards more academics. So kind
Okay.
of like sports wasn't really a thing when I was growing up. Like, you might be surprised to know that, like, I have two sisters. They don't exercise. One
Oh,
of my sisters, I managed to start
okay.
exercising.
Yeah.
She's about a year and a half older than me, and she's only recently started training.
Okay.
Um,
I am
yes,
surprised to learn that because I just imagine like your entire family just being like units like you are. Because like I don't know if people can tell, but like you're like the same height as me and you're jacked. Like you're, I look at my arms like I'm like I need to get a bit more like shredded. Do you know what I mean? Like I've got legs, but like I'm always like, oh, Keith is mugging me here. Like I need a bit more arms.
I don't know. I've always had quite muscly arms, and I think obviously since training, it's just
Yeah.
they've got bigger. But yeah, it was never really a thing in my family. We were always kind of like pushed towards academics, which I am really grateful for because, um, I went to sixth form, I've got a degree, all of that sort of stuff. But I've always wanted to do sports.
Okay.
Um, like growing up, but just never really had the opportunity. But I had my children around 25, and that's when I wanted to, like, probably like a lot of young mums, they want to like get back in shape.
Okay.
So that's the first time I actually stepped into a gym, and
Okay. Wow. So like 26-ish, I'm guessing then. Like I'm guessing it was
yeah,
after. Yeah.
yeah, and then I like we only did things like step classes, spin classes, like aerobics. That was
Yeah.
kind of like that's what I thought like women were supposed to do. It's so silly, so
I was
silly
just, it's
thinking back
so
on it
different
now.
to what you do now, right? Like that's like night and day.
And like genuinely, me and the group of girls that I went to aerobics with, we used to call the weight section the men's section,
Oh,
and
really? Okay.
yeah, so
That's so, that's
um,
so interesting to me because I cannot imagine that. Because when I met you, would be it's quite a while ago now, maybe 4 years ago, and I've just
mm,
always known you as like Cali, lifting heavy, training hard. I like cannot imagine that.
yeah, yeah. I loved all of it. I loved aerobics. I loved spit. I still do love it actually. I still
Yeah,
love that style of training. It's super fun. And it's like the whole
it's
thing with
hard as
like
well, right?
it's
Like it's
hard.
so hard.
Yeah, we used to do something called insanity. Have you ever heard of it?
I've heard of it. I've never done it, but I've heard of it.
I don't think I can do that class anymore. I don't reckon I'll be able to do it. But, yeah, it was funny. So then I got into weights because I went to a class and I think it was a really hot day. I was the only person that turned up to this class. And the
Okay.
guy who was teaching it was like, "Oh, there's no one here. Do you want to have like a free PT session instead?"
Okay.
And it was from that moment I was hooked from
Okay,
doing
so it's
things
just
like
by chance.
by chance, complete
By
chance.
chance. Wow. Okay.
And
And then from there it's gone like
then
I mean, I guess it kept
I've
going.
done, yeah, basically done every sort of like style of training. So first got into resistance training, and then later on I did a stint of strength training where I got really, really strong. I've done some Olympic lifting, and then from there kind of like moved into other things, like I've done bouldering, um, Cali, obviously,
Yeah.
some boxing, and then started moving into martial arts. So I started off with boxing and then
Yeah.
into jiu-jitsu. So, um,
It's a
yeah, it's
lot.
been
You've
quite,
done it kind of all, haven't you, now as well? You've sort of run through the different sports and things.
yeah, yeah. So I'm super grateful that I've had so many opportunities to kind of like try so many different styles of training and really kind of like learn from them as well.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I imagine that's like probably a big base of where wanting to coach came from, is just how quickly your life can sort of change as soon as you get hooked on the right thing, right? Or I imagine so. What was it that
Yeah.
kind of took you from training to coach?
Well, it was it was my first ever personal trainer. So it was that guy that got me into the weight section. He was like, "Oh, like, you're really strong." And he was like, that's when I signed up to do some PT sessions with him. And he really encouraged me. He was like, "Look, you're really strong. Like I used to get it all the time, not in like a big-headed way. I'm going to actually sound quite big-headed, but
Yeah. That's all right.
other
We're here
women,
for it. We want to hear people talk about what they're good at. No
but other
humbleness.
women would come in, they would come up to me and they would be like, "Oh my God, like, you look really strong." And at
Yeah.
that time, when, however many years ago, 10 plus years ago, it wasn't about looking strong. It was about
Yeah.
being as small as possible, as being really skinny. That was kind of like like the thigh gap and all of that. That was kind of
I
like the
remember
body.
that actually. Yeah. So when I started the gym, the thigh gap was like the thing that was on Instagram. That was like the era of fitness I started in.
Yeah. So it was all that. And I think just from like how like genetically and like my body type is, I am quite muscular. So you don't really see that many women that looked like me back then. Now
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm old news.
Like fucking hell, I gotta catch up with everyone. I don't know. I don't know. You are like very muscular. You've got to be one of the most like jacked people I know. But it's like an athletic jacked. I'm quite jealous. Like I want the same physique.
I feel like you have. I feel
I feel
like
like maybe I've got
you're
body
the male version of
dysmorphia.
me. I'm the female version of you or something.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty similar to be fair. Like maybe that's it. I feel like maybe I'm just male, so I look different.
Oh,
But I don't know. It's
yeah.
pretty similar. I think it's just the definition. But like I eat a lot of sweet treats, so like pretty easy solution if I ate less terribly.
Mm, yeah, well, you've got to live your life as well.
Yeah,
But
you got to
yeah,
enjoy
it's
it.
from that. It was from that that kind of really motivated me because I was like, oh, do you know what? Like, um, this is like super motivating. It's nice that people. I think just like with anyone, you have your own kind of like hang-ups about your body. So
Yeah.
actually, that was kind of like affirmation that, do you know what? It's fine to look different. It's fine to not like be super skinny and all of that sort of stuff. And he encouraged me to keep on training, to then go back to college and get my level two and then my level three,
Okay.
and then start PTing. And I'm still in touch with him now, so he still PTs. So it's nice to kind of like still touch base and all of that sort of
That's
stuff. But
awesome. That's really, really cool. That's incredible. So that's been a long time that you guys will have like known each other now. And I'm guessing, did you ever talk to them about like coaching advice as you were coming up, or like has it? Yeah, how's that relationship been? Because I don't know anyone that I've seen as like a coaching mentor for that long.
um, yeah, he was super professional. Like I learned a lot from him, like just small things, like making sure that you're giving that client attention. You have some PTs that are kind of like they're more social, so they're like chatting to
Yeah.
everyone. But he was very professional in the sense that once he was coaching, you were his main focus, and he had things like structures and plans. And again, like it can be a bit of a little bit of a free fall, doesn't it? So like you see
Yeah.
some PTs and they're doing random stuff, like
Yeah.
crazy stuff in the gyms.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did. I was super grateful that I had him as like my first point of contact. But then I did start working at a pure gym, which it wasn't great. It was good to kind of like start off as, but then I very quickly I moved into a private gym where I was
Yeah.
then exposed to very good personal trainers
Okay.
and very good training. So I had that very early on in my career. So I was super fortunate to be surrounded by so many knowledgeable people that knew a lot about training, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a very big blessing. I had a similar thing. I started working at Sweatbox was my first PT job, and obviously I was surrounded by people like yourself and people like I don't know Zab, Tom Morgan, just like so many good coaches, and it really does like set your expectations. But it makes sense because obviously you've got such a diverse range of knowledge, and you've been able to sustain like really high level Cali skills and still do so much alongside now being a competitor in jiu-jitsu, which brings me over to what I wanted to get you on about, because otherwise I'll keep asking
Yeah, so
PT questions. No, that's okay. It's on me. I'm going, tell me more about your PT experience. Let me steal
you've
your,
gone through the whole life story.
yeah, let me steal your knowledge. That's me being selfish. But obviously we're here to talk competition jiu-jitsu and training for that sort of thing and hopefully give some advice to people. But I'd love to sort of like hear a bit about what made you start jiu-jitsu? So you've gone through this process of getting into the gym, you've ended up becoming a coach, and then going through a range of training, doing everything from rock climbing, which you got really good at. Obviously, you said you've done like a lot of sports when you were younger, kind of. Was it athletics or did I make that up? Cross
Yes,
country?
and athletics, yeah, yeah.
Athletics,
Sorry, I
cross
love
country.
running, cross
Okay, then
country.
that was a big one. Okay.
Mm.
So you've done like so much, and then you started jiu-jitsu a year and a half ago, and now since then you've become a European champion, winning gold, and then you've won gold at Paris Open at Blue Belt, like which is incredible. Like barely anyone does that full stop. But then to do that as someone who started jiu-jitsu in their mid-30s, kind of just picked it up, and then you're a parent of two kids, and you've got this whole other thing that you do in terms of fitness, like why did you decide to go, I'm going to pick up jiu-jitsu and just give it a shot? And how has it even got to here? Let's start. I'm sorry, I'm getting excited because I am
Yeah,
excited to talk to you
no,
about this. Let's start with why did you pick it up?
yeah. There's a couple of reasons. So one of the biggest ones was that I wanted my kids to do jujitsu, for like a whole host of reasons. Like I wanted them to learn a martial arts. I love the whole kind of like culture around kind of like martial arts as well, like the respect and all of
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. There's so many different elements that I wanted them to learn. Um, And then I used to go sit and work and watch them, and I noticed that there wasn't a lot of females in that room. So
Yeah.
a lot of the practitioners they are male, and my daughter's like a massive having someone that can be a role model for my daughter is like very important. So I think
Yeah, of
seeing
course.
females in that space is quite an important thing for me as well. And that's yeah one of the reasons I wanted to start. I mentioned before that I did boxing, so I love boxing. I love the whole kind of like that. It's so skillful,
Yeah.
but to get really good at something, you obviously need to be doing it quite a lot. And I found it was quite hard to get as like do it as much as I wanted to do it to get really good at it. I
Okay.
also found out I wanted to do. I did actually want to start a sport that I could compete in.
Okay.
Um, because again, for my kids, they do a lot of activities, you know.
Yeah, I
And
was gonna say they do so much. I was like, interesting. There was jiu-jitsu. You're like, no, they need this one specifically, which I'd love to find out about. But let me ask that later. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
yeah, so for me, like the kind of the way I would like, the way I want to parent is that I want my kids to learn a skill. And also, I think it's quite important to make sure that you kind of test that skill as well.
Yeah.
So there's certain things that, I want to encourage that they do compete in. So like my son, he skateboards, he competes in skateboarding. And then jujitsu as well was like another kind of thing that I thought, would be good for them to kind of try to compete at. Um, so again, for me as a parent, you got to live by example, right? So
Yeah.
I thought, I should really be showing them that I'm willing to put myself out there, put myself in a situation where I'm going to compete, where I have to kind of deal with all of those emotions. But I realized for boxing, I'm too old.
Oh, really? Surely not.
So well, because when I first started it, I was 38. So once you get past the age of 40, you can't actually compete in boxing. So
Really? I didn't know
yeah, so
that. I'm guessing
and
that's amateur also because they're quite strict,
yeah,
aren't they?
yeah. So I was like for me to get really good, it's going to probably take me a couple of years. And by
Yeah.
that time, I won't be able to. And at the same time, I was sort of doing a few jiu-jitsu sessions, and I equally love jiu-jitsu. But I think that another was like a reason why I wanted to kind of commit a bit more to jiu-jitsu, was that there was more opportunities for me to be able to compete in.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, there's a couple of reasons for my kids and to compete.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. It's very interesting to hear kind of this cycle for you because it seems like there's been this very like almost intrinsic motivation when it came to fitness of this passion and sort of similarly with then jiu-jitsu, it's come from a very, very intrinsic place. I don't have kids, so it's hard for me to relate, but I can only imagine when you feel a motivation to do something for your children, it's very much about like feeling that same motivation you would feel as if you were doing it for yourself, if not stronger. So it's kind of like they've both come from quite this core place, and obviously wanting to set that example is incredible. I think I know you mentioned it with your daughter, and I imagine she's mixed heritage as well, like me, and actually you don't often see many people who even look remotely similar to you. So even just being able to see other women, especially seeing your mum of all people, who's probably the person you're going to look at as the most similar to you, go and do the thing is really impressive. And I'm sure it is for your son too. Out of interest, obviously you mentioned your son's a competitive skateboarder. He's really good. Whenever you post videos, I'm always like, oh my God, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so cool. What made you want to have him exposed to a martial art as well as something
Yeah.
like skateboarding? What was that difference?
So like I was gonna say something really obvious. Both my kids are they're very different, obviously. But when you have kids, you always just think, oh, they're going to be the same, but they're not. They're really
Yeah.
different. So with my son, he's very focused. He can get very focused on certain things. For skateboarding for him, he saw the skateboard since he was like 9 years old, and just like it was obsessive for him. He just wanted to
Okay.
skate every single day, and he has done other sports, but skateboarding is his thing. But for me, again, I wanted him to not not put so much pressure just on one thing. Like movement is such a blessing, isn't it? To be able to move your body
Yeah.
into exercise, and I want him to explore different forms of exercise as well. So that was, yeah, like another reason for him why I wanted him to do jujitsu. Um, and yeah, like the other things of like being able to kind of like, he's a boy as well. Like I think it's important that he feels confident and is able to, if he's put in certain situations, be able to kind of like be confident in those situations as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
100%.
same reason for my daughter as well. Like I want her to feel confident in certain situations where she knows how to kind of like handle herself.
Yeah, 100%. That's awesome. That's really cool to hear. Thank you for sharing that. That's really interesting. But I'd like to hear a bit more then about how this has impacted you. So obviously you've made this decision initially to sort of step up as a role model for your kids, show, women can go in and do this on the mats, but also that, you're not just saying, no, you should go and compete. It's good. You're living by example. You're going to do it and you're going to go give it a shot. But I'm guessing when you go into it with that mentality, you weren't thinking, okay, in a year and a half's time, I'm going to be
No.
halfway through the year, 3 competitions down, a gold at Europeans, a gold at the Paris Open, Nogi in 2 weeks, and then you've got Worlds at the end of the year, right? And I mean, fingers crossed that's another gold. I'd love to see it. But what happened and what changed? Because I think this is something that would be great for people sort of in your position who are parents who maybe haven't got into sports when they're younger but always wanted to do it. You can get this motivation to pick up and try some stuff, be a good example, and it can really turn into something that feels like, at least sounds like, it's kind of like fulfilling a bit of a dream you had when you were younger to be like a competitive athlete. And obviously now you get to live that reality. And I think a lot of people think it's over. So yeah, can you just tell us a bit more about the transition and what's kind of driven you to keep going in the way you are?
So many different things, isn't there? Because like when you first start something, it's really scary. I think for anyone, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like it's quite intimidating, especially like especially going into that room, isn't it? Where you have such amazing coaches as well. Like the coaches themselves are extremely high level. So that, again, that's like
Yeah.
another thing
Especially
that's
at
like,
Sweatbox, like they're really good.
yeah.
I think it's like they are really good. Like you want to go in and be like, yeah, I can be good too.
But there's a few things that kept me going. It's like the community of women in particular in that sport, I think is very special. There's like a very special bond between the women that train together. And I think it's because, yeah, there isn't that many women when you go into the classes, and I think you just have this like understanding with each other, and it is hard because like you are getting like especially when you first start, you're getting just completely like
Beaten up.
annihilated. Yeah, like you're like, why
Yeah.
am I doing
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, I get that.
But I think, yeah, when things start to fall in place as well. So I think when things start clicking, for a very long time, nothing made sense, did it? So it's just I don't know what I'm doing. I feel really silly with what I'm doing. But again, I think I quite like that. I like
Yeah.
feeling like I'm bad at something and kind of seeing that process of like then improving and seeing
It's
that
quite
improvement.
addictive, isn't it? The learning process of jujitsu at the start where you're getting beaten up. And I guess that leads into that camaraderie that you end up making and having those tight bonds as well with people because you learn and you go through like you've just got to eat shit for the first like 6 7 months. Like I say to people now and they're like, oh, jujitsu feels a bit lame, like I don't know if I want to keep doing it. I'm like, mate, I didn't have a clue what was going on for like 2 years.
Mm.
Like I still don't know if I actually really know what's going on.
No, I thought, yeah, like, yeah, I probably still don't. I'm
Yeah, it's
like,
like I don't
know
have a
what I'm
clue.
doing.
And then
Um,
sorry, go ahead.
no, no,
Go
no,
ahead.
no, you go. Sorry, you go.
No, I was just gonna say. So, and I think, yeah, when you've got those, you work through these difficult problems. It's an amazing feeling of satisfaction. It's quite addictive, but I feel like that leads into why you build these relationships with people because you come in day after day and you do this hard thing with like the same group of people over and over again. And it's funny because sometimes you don't even know their names, or at least I don't. I'm such a bad training partner. I always feel I just forget them, and I'm like, I'll pick it up at some point, and then suddenly like a year goes by, and you're like, I don't know this guy's name. Like I'm just gonna, hey, buddy.
I'm terrible. I give people nicknames and that's their name then.
And then that's how you pretend that you do know it. You're like, oh yeah,
um, no, like what my one of my training partners, her name's Neve. You know Neve as well.
yeah,
She's like
yeah, yeah,
excellent handstander. Like just the relationship I have with her, obviously not like used to see her around the gym, friendly with her, but obviously we started jiu-jitsu around similar times and we train all the time together and just kind of like the bond that you have with her. And she's just competed actually at the Dublin Open and she won.
Oh,
Um,
nice. That's awesome.
yeah, and again, it's like that thing. It's like I feel so happy for her, but you wouldn't be able to do these things without your training partners, without people
Yeah.
to like to do this stuff with. So it's so important that you build these kind of like relationships and you have these bonds, and I think that's what I like about it as well. Like that's what brought me back to class. Like, it is that whole. There's just so much, isn't there? There's
There's a
literally so
lot.
much.
Yeah, yeah. It's a really social sport. I think that's a massive one, though. I agree. Like, obviously, I'm traveling at the moment, so right now we're in Canada and we've been here 2 months, and we're in a part of Canada where everyone speaks French. So, like, a lot of people speak English. Most people speak English as well. But day to day, I'm not speaking to many people because their first thing's French. I'm like, sorry, I don't understand. They just tell me whatever I need to know and move on. But jujitsu, I go and I end up having like really nice social time, 5 6 hours a week, and it's like, oh, I've got people I'm like hanging out with, chatting to. You plan stuff with them. You end up like becoming actual mates, and it becomes like a really like for me anyway. Whilst I've been traveling, jujitsu's been like I get to hang out with people and do something I like, no matter where I am in the world, and it's really nice. And for me, that's something where I'd recommend it. I'm like, yeah, it's a really social thing. Like you go and have a hobby where you can be social, whether that's jujitsu or even another sport. But do you think that's something that would be? Do you think that's like a reason that more people should do it? Because I think a lot of people are quite lonely nowadays. Like I think a lot of people who I know in their 40s maybe who do just feel a little bit lonely, but they could go and do a sport and pick up something like this.
Yeah, yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think the yeah, the nature of the sport is quite close contact. So naturally, I think you build those like those connections with people, and also like you're put in situations where you're kind of like you're almost trusting that person to not hurt you as well, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, 100%.
Um, so yeah, I think it's a great place to kind of like to meet people you never would like
Yeah.
normally interact with as well. Like that jiu-jitsu room, sometimes it's so random, isn't it? With all of
Oh
the
my God, yeah,
people
it's
that
crazy. You hear people say it all the time, but you will have like an ex-world champion a criminal, a police officer, some like guy who's like a millionaire from a business, and then like like an 18-year-old who's just like, what's going on? Like I'm at uni and they have a student
Yeah.
membership. That's how I started martial arts. I rocked up to Sweatbox with a student membership. Went, that looks fun.
Yeah, it's completely random, but I can't really put into words kind of like that, the community feel that you get when you do something like that. It's definitely not culty. It's definitely not like CrossFit vibes.
Yeah. I know
There's
exactly what you mean. I guess like the wrong gym, but CrossFit is it's perfect example of like slightly culty. You want to avoid that.
but yeah, it's definitely there's a really strong bond that you build with people. Another reason I was thinking as well is like for me, being able to control your emotions as well.
Yeah.
That was like a really important thing. So a lot of the time you're put in very uncomfortable positions or very like suffocating positions, and it's been like to be able to kind of calm your mind
Yeah.
and be able to think clearly in those situations was like a massive thing that I wanted to develop within myself, and also I want my kids to learn.
Yeah, that's such a valuable element of jujitsu. And I imagine now, reflecting on that goal being something you wanted to do initially, there must be a huge difference between where you were and where you are now. Like if we reflect on, it was last weekend you had the most recent Paris Open. Like
Yes.
that's crazy. Like, and I mean, thinking back to the Europeans at the start of the year, I've got some clips. So I'll put them on screen so people can see. But we're all in these like big stands looking down on you. It almost feels like a little bit of like a mini coliseum. There's mats, and you walk out, and you've got all of this pressure on you, and then you've got to go
Yeah.
fight someone else who's like not even fight someone else. It's like they are the same skill as you. They're the same size as you. They have
Yeah.
an even chance of winning as you. Can you
Yeah.
control yourself and get the
Mm.
win?
And
What's it
that's
like
that's
being that person now from the start?
the last comp I did, I definitely dealt with my nerves a lot better. But it is one of those things like Bernie obviously competed at the same time, but we were so nervous
Yeah.
on the morning. But when you're waiting in that kind of like little ball pit thing before you go in, um, I just really focused my mind and just thought, you know what, this you're fine. You're absolutely
Yeah.
fine. Like you've done all the work. What will be now. So this is where you want it to be. So like now is the time to kind of like to show. Um, the Europeans, I was nervous, but it's like I didn't really know what to expect because it was my first competition.
That
So
was your first competition?
yeah,
No
yeah. So
way. I thought you'd
that
done one before. Oh, that makes it even more impressive, mate. European champ on your first comp. What the fuck?
yeah,
I didn't do that one on my first comp. I had a
really,
terrible first competition.
uh, if I win the world, I'm going to retire. I'm like, I
Yeah, mate,
can't
you
really keep
can't
this.
top that. That's gonna be your. You just need to stop.
It's like just give me the black belt there and then I'm retired now. Um, no, funnily enough, I was entering into local comps before I entered into the Europeans. I was desperate to try and do a comp, and I kept entering into all the local ones, the pro grappling ones, but they was just no match for me. So it's quite hard to match me because I'm small. My division's light feather, so it's like up to 53 kilos to fight at. I'm older as well, so I'm masters too because I'm over 35. Um, and then also at that time I was inexperienced as well, so I was still a white belt. So those three things in combination, that it's quite hard to then find someone to match
Yeah.
you. But all of the local comps I couldn't find one. And then our Pedro basically said that he's going to the Europeans. He was encouraging people to come to the Europeans. And that's when I entered because he was like,
Okay.
"Oh, you'll definitely get a match at the Europeans." So I entered, and
Got the
yeah.
win. Okay. Yeah. That's
But going
awesome.
back to my original point, I didn't really know what to expect. I felt nervous, but London, I felt really nervous. So the comp I did after the Portugal was the London Open, and I felt so nervous then because I think I just finished the Europeans. Obviously, I'd won. I got my blue belt. It was like the first time I was competing at blue belt. I had to go up a weight division as well. So I knew I was going to be at a disadvantage. So that was already in my head. I was like, oh, I'm a new blue belt. I'm going to be underweight. They're going to be better than me. And I already had that in my head. So I was making myself more nervous.
And
Um,
it's hard to come off the back of like gold at Euros first comp, and then you always have that pressure on yourself, and then you're like, oh, and they put me up, oh, and this, like, come on. It's one of those where it's very easy to let that mental battle get on
yeah,
top of you, I imagine.
yeah. I had already gone in with the completely wrong mindset. So I'd gone in thinking, how am I going to defend what she's going to do to me? So instead of like going in thinking I'm going to do what I want to do, I was already thinking about how I'm going to counter her attacks, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I went in in the wrong mindset. So with the London Open, I got silver. So I won one match. I won my first match and then lost my second.
Okay,
Um,
still a good run though
but
to be able to get one and one.
yeah, yeah. I did the wrong thing as well. I watched the person I was in the finals with. I watched her match,
Yeah,
and he
never
did
want to
this
do
flying
that.
armbar. It was like she did this flying armbar move, and I was like literally like watching her go. I was like, "Fuck! Now I've got to go in and fight her." But yeah. So already, like I'd already gone in with the complete wrong mindset. So with the Europeans, I didn't really know what to expect. With London, I was like had the wrong mindset, and then for Paris, I felt like I was finding my feet a little bit more with like kind of how I should be kind of like processing what I want to feel before I'm going on.
Yeah,
But like with everyone, like with anything, I think the more you're doing something, the more you're going to figure out what's kind of like the steps you need to be doing to kind of like prepare for that.
100%. Yeah, and I imagine then being able to get that emotions under control made a big difference this time because it had a pretty great result.
Yeah, yeah, and I
Yeah.
felt I felt super strong. Um, I like in regards to kind of like the training I'm doing in the gym, I've cut that right back down because obviously I want to commit a bit more time to jiu-jitsu. So more of my time's going to doing training jiu-jitsu. So I was like I
Yeah.
loved training like 5 days a week, but
Yeah, yeah.
I really hone that in and just do three day full body sessions. No, sorry, that's a lie. I do two lower focus bodies, one upper more focus, and then I'm still doing a lot of handstands because I still want to keep up the practice with the
You just love the
handstands.
handstands.
Well, the
They're never going
handstands too
away.
hard. Like, I've got to keep it in, but I do realize, like I have realized that if I want to get better at something, I need to commit more time to that thing, and maybe the handstands I can't be doing that for hours every single day.
Yeah. I think that's the one downside to taking like a sport seriously, right? You almost need to let the other ones go a bit more. I know I've got that with jiu-jitsu at the moment. It's like I do 3 days in the gym, 3 days, sometimes four at jiu-jitsu, depending on how I feel. And like that's been good enough for me to get consistently better. But then whenever I'm like, oh, but I could throw in a bit of tricking, and then you do it, and then the injuries start piling up, or like you just don't recover right. You're like, ah, I am a human being. I've got to train sensibly. I'm not actually RoboCop.
Yeah. Yeah, it did kind of show me that, you know what, because I felt really strong against her. So I felt like I could control her and I felt really good in the match as well. So it was just trusting the process and making sure that, it was eye-opening.
Yeah, that's a really good lesson to be able to learn and just kind of like trust the process is basically the thing to take away. And something else you said earlier that I think is quite nice is like you just need to do the thing for long enough till you start figuring it out. And I think those are both quite like important lessons to take away for just training in general. How do you think that the experiences you've had now competing and getting into jiu-jitsu have impacted the way you view training and coaching? Because obviously those just us chatting, you're already talking about like quite like important concepts to things that will actually make you make serious progress no matter how old you are, no matter what stage of training you are, whether you're, trying to be really a high level competitor or you're someone who just goes to jiu-jitsu twice a week and wants to be better on the mats. Like these are really important lessons. So how's this process and the success you've had with it changed what you're doing and how you view things?
Yeah, I definitely think, that expression, isn't it? Less is more, isn't it? So, making sure that you're trading smart. So again, if you want to be good at a certain skill, you need to be doing that. You need to have kind of like exposure to that skill enough across the week.
Yeah.
But then equally, you do need to make sure that you're kind of like what I like to think about with like the resistance trainers, like that's your bread and butter. So you need to
Yeah.
make sure that you're still doing that, But you don't need to be doing, you don't like, if for example if you want to be getting better at a skill, you don't need to be lifting the heaviest thing in the gym.
Yeah.
Those are two opposing things. So it is just about training smart. It definitely, like, going through the process myself, because I am the sort of person where I some maybe I'm a little bit ADHD. I find loads
Yeah,
of
I
things.
mean, maybe. I don't know. I think working at Sweatbox is like the equivalent of a diagnosis, in my opinion. But
Yeah, like I want to do loads of things. Like I want to do
yeah,
handstand, I want to do stuff on the rings. I want to do all of this stuff. I want to do it all now. I want to do it all together. And you can train like that, but if you really want to get better at something, you do have to commit to that, you kind of have to prioritize those goals a little bit.
100%. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So is that big thing for you, I suppose, as someone who, very much like the people who'll be watching this podcast, or like myself, as people who want to do a lot of things, when you want to bring it down to competition and performance time, it's about like narrowing that focus. And I think, like you say, not forgetting the gym stuff. I think the way you described it is your bread and butter is so valuable. That's your foundations. That's going to stop you getting injured. It's going to allow you to perform. It's going to let you feel strong. And I mean, like, there's nothing worse than when you're competing and the person you're competing against feels stronger than you. Like, that's like such a terrifying feeling. You're like, oh fuck, like, that's not good. So you need to do that. It's so important. But then you need to take the time to actually apply that and not forget whilst the training is your bread and butter, it still adds to that fatigue. You know, if you're maxing out every week, you're going to impact your training. And you know what? I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent here, but in February, I hurt my back for like 2 weeks. It wasn't like a proper injury, but it was like so overtrained because I wanted to get a PR on the board at the gym I was going to. And I like did a deadlift. I felt it feel really bad. And I was like, I'm just going to grind through it. Like I literally was just like, ah! Like I felt a little click and everything. I was like, just finish it. Got the PB. And then like for the next like 2 weeks, I couldn't wrestle in jiu-jitsu. And we keep starting after like, coach, sorry, I've got to sit down. I can't do it. I was
Yeah,
like,
you
I
got it,
literally glass backed myself. Like, but it was worth it. It was a big lift, but it had
Was
the
it at the
impact.
top? Was your name at the top?
It's at the top, yeah, and I only beat it by 2 kilos, but I did a behind the back deadlift. So even if someone beats it, I can go, yeah, but mine was behind the back, mate.
Yeah, yeah,
Yours was in front of you.
yeah,
Do mine
yeah.
behind
What?
me. Yeah, well, oh, that you deadlifted in front of you. Nah, do mine behind the back. So
That is a good strategy.
that was I was like, I don't need to go that heavy if I just behind the back. But I mean, I learned. I mean, I didn't learn that lesson. I know that lesson because I tell my clients. But it was a reminder to follow the lesson of like, if you want to be getting better at one thing, and like at the moment, even though I'm traveling, I'm not competing. Like my main thing is like, I want to get better at jiu-jitsu because I'm enjoying training it. And I was in Brazil for 6 months, so it was kind of like, what else are you going to focus on if you're in Brazil?
Yeah.
I suppose I could have done football, but I'm not. No one wants to see me do ball sports. I'm very bad at it. But it's so important. How do you go about measuring what is too much and what is too little? Like, how do you come to finding what is the balance for you? Because you're someone who's got, like, and this is why I call you superwoman. You've got a busy life, yet you're an incredible athlete. You know, you keep training well, you perform well. You've got to be like eating and sleeping well to perform the way you do. At least I'd expect, unless you are like a genetic freak. But you're also, you know, you work full time. You've got 2 kids. You've got a life that is like a normal life. You're super social. Do you know what I mean? How have you gone about finding the balance and actually making it all work?
Hmm. Um. God, and you say it all like that. I'm like, oh wow.
Do you know, every time I mention this to you, you're like, no, I don't do that much. And I'm like, no, you are superwoman. Like, I don't know how you do it. I said to Em this morning, I was like, I moved house the other day and was meant to go out for with our friend, and I got a stress migraine and had to like take 2 days off doing much but being in my house.
Mm. So, so I train jiu-jitsu. I was going to say, I do train it every day. I like to train it every day, but I'm not going hard every single day in those sessions. So I'm not like sparring like 100%. So I kind of I kind of do it that way, to be honest. So when I look at my week, obviously I've got, if I feel like I've got a busy work week, I might then kind of like have in my mind, well, these are the days that I'd like to spar. Like I want to give it 100% in regards to sparring. For me, yeah, that works really, really well. I think if I've got a comp coming up, it's, that's when I start to think of I get a bit more structured with like the day, which days I'm going to be doing like harder sessions and making sure that it's not going to impact too much.
Okay, so
If,
you're quite
if,
fluid with it by the sounds of it. You're sort of going like, how does my body feel on the days
yeah,
you can do that?
yeah, and it is really like that because there's some days where like if I'm on my period or something like that, like it's not a good idea like certain points in your cycle to be going like 100% in the
Yeah, like
in the
hard sparring the heavyweights and like
yeah,
getting slammed.
it's just not it's just not productive. So um yeah, I am probably a bit more fluid with it. I definitely, I
Okay.
like to train every single day jiu-jitsu. So for me to be able to do that, I kind of like taper my sessions to how I feel.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask a little bit more about that then, because I think that makes sense perfectly to me. And like, I agree, I'm someone who's very fluid with it. I think kind of how do I feel on the day? Around competitions, you've got to dial it in more. So when I did, it's a long time since I did any competition actually. I think it's been like 3 or 4 years. But when I did, say, the weighted Cali event in England, like my training was like, I want to try and hit these numbers on these days, which is so rarely how I would train in my like normal life. But I think it's very important to be able to be fluid with it when you are training in your normal life. But I think when you say that to a lot of people, they don't actually know what they're listening to. Like they don't know what it means to like when they should take it easy. Do you know what I mean? What signals do you listen for? And I suppose how do you even necessarily like rationalize to yourself that it's okay to take it a bit easy? Because people even find just being like, well, I know I feel a bit sore, but I don't want to take it easy. I feel bad. How are you doing this in your mind compared to like where people struggle?
God, I feel that's a really hard question.
Sorry, sorry. I'm asking as much for me though, because what you do is very impressive. I think it's interesting because I think you view it as very normal, which generally high achieving, especially high achieving athletes tend to. That's how you function. But what you're doing is definitely abnormal, the ability to manage it as well as you do.
mm, yeah, well, it really is as simple as like if I wake up, like obviously I have my schedule of what days I'm doing jiu-jitsu. I tend to find that I probably have a bit more energy in the morning. So if I had morning sessions planned, so for example, like on a Wednesday and a Friday, I go to the morning classes. That's typically when I would maybe spar a little bit harder.
Yeah,
Also, there tends to be more women in those classes as well, so it's a good opportunity for me to like have better roles.
yeah, that
Um,
makes sense.
the there's some classes where I prefer to like to drill more, to like just like not roll as hard. Um, they're probably more like the evening sessions where I've got less energy. But yeah, really, I don't
It's
know.
very intuitive. No, I get it. I get it. Because I suppose what I'm asking you to describe is almost like an instinct, I suppose, would be maybe the way to think about it. You almost have this like gauge in your head. I suppose maybe what would be a better question then is when you think about balancing it with your lifting, and I think this is another thing people struggle with, is figuring out what's too much in the lifting. For me, like if I feel that in jujitsu, like I'm just not able to like feel explosive. Like if I feel like I'm giving my best days in the gym and I'm not giving it on the mat, then I'm like, okay, well my training is no longer supporting my sport, which then I'm like, it's not really supporting me doing much day to day. Like if I'm doing tricking and I can't go into the gym and feel like my knees feel good when I hit the ground hard, I'm like, well, I'm squatting too heavy, clearly, because everything's getting
Mm.
tight, and I'll sort of back off. What are you looking for between jujitsu training and life, where you're like, how are you balancing that all? Because obviously you mentioned you've kind of realized you can't do it all. What made you realize that at the start?
In regards to, I listen a lot to my coaches as well. So
Okay.
if I do have a like a competition planned, I listen to the advice of what my coaches are giving me. In regards to kind of like the stuff in the gym, so the resistance training, I invested in a coach, and he knows like when I'm having my comps and really that sort of stuff's kind of like taken care of with that. So he writes
Okay,
my
so you're not
plan.
worried about it. I like that though. Hey, look, we believe in it. I mean, you're coaching people for the same thing. You're there going, I don't want them to be thinking about it. So I love that you're doing that for yourself. That's really positive. I like that.
I think it's important, especially like you said, if you've got like a busy life, you have to utilize, the tools that you have around you. Like, we have some of the best coaches training us, so why wouldn't we utilize that? And yeah, like I think if you can make things easier in that respect, well, and it's doable for you, then why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Um,
I like that. So
yeah,
the solution is get a coach.
get a
Come
coach.
come and work with Geeta, and then you'll get the results. Come and work with Superwoman,
You
become
haven't led
Superwoman.
into
That's how
that.
we do it. No, that's I like that though. So actually, that's quite key. I think that's really you've hit the nail on the head. It sounds kind of silly, but utilizing the tools to make your life easier so you can do it. That's
Yeah,
massive. Like
yeah.
that really is huge. And whether that's, and I totally get it. I'm someone who quite likes having a coach. I love having martial arts coaches, and I've had that for over half a decade now. Basically, my whole adult life, I've been doing martial arts. I started when I was 19. I want to say
Mm,
maybe I was 20. So basically, my whole adult life, and having someone who you go in day to day, looking at how you're moving, how you feel, and they're actually helping you like try and get better feels really nice. Even traveling now, like very inconsistent with the coaching, but you have someone who for like 2, 3 months is just working with you on something, or like in Portugal, they're the ones I go back and see, and they go, "Oh, this has changed, and that's nice." And you can do the same for lifting. Like,
mm.
especially when your strength and conditioning coach is your job, like you don't necessarily want to be doing all the data for yourself. If you can pass that off, it frees up a huge amount of brain space, and that's incredible. For
Exactly.
other people, it's like order meal prep, get get a what's it called? Oh, what's the one where
Like
it turns up in
HelloFresh or
ingredients? Hello Fresh, that's it. Yeah, get a
yeah.
Hello Fresh.
Yeah.
Get your
I
dinner
actually
taken care
recommend
of.
that a lot to my clients.
So
Like
do
I
I.
think, if it's doable for you, then do it, because like it can be so mentally loading, isn't it? All the stuff that you have to think about in life, just being an adult, and then on top of that, if you're also a parent as well, um, you know, these things are we do have these things available. So if you can do it, then try it for a bit and see if it helps.
100%. I think HelloFresh is incredible. I remember I used to I was staying with someone for like 3 months and they would just order HelloFresh and I was like, this has changed my life, mate. And they were like, yeah, I know you should get it. I was like, oh my God. Like it's mind blowing. But that's really interesting. So do you think maybe then one of the big things that allows you to manage so much and actually train at the rate you do and be so intuitive with your body is because you're taking care of a lot of life stressors in the way that is actually convenient and going, right, I need to take care of that. I'm going to actually just spend the money, take care of it. That's my coach. That's dealt with. Do you know what I mean? It just takes that load straight off you, and then
Yeah,
I suppose that allows you to work better both as an athlete, as a coach, and just be focused on the things you need to focus on.
yeah, yeah. And instead of like having to think about it yourself, like, for me, I think because I've been coached multiple times before. I always do like having a coach. I, this time around, because I knew I wanted to, I had a certain goal in mind. I was very clear with kind of like what approach I wanted as well. Like, I don't want my sessions to be 2 hours long. I don't want, there's certain things I wanted to hit. It was nice. For me, I was very, I felt a bit more like I had a very clear idea of what I wanted from coaching, this time round as well. And again, that's a process, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it's not like it doesn't mean it's right or wrong. There's lots of different reasons why you might want to go into coaching, but for me, this time round, it's because I had a very clear goal, what I
Yeah.
wanted.
Awesome. That's really cool. I think that's like the gem I think people need to take away from today is like take care of your shit if you can, make it convenient and get it out of the way. And I
Mm.
think that's a really nice one to think about because I think when it comes to sport, training, health, like stress. And I don't know if you'd agree with this, but this is what I always come to conclude. I think stress is the single biggest thing that's going to impact it, whether that's stress from family life, stress from financials, or just stress from like, fucking hell, I don't have enough time to cook and now I'm rushing about all day. If you can start eliminating those things best you can, you're going to feel better consistently. And I mean, hey, if that's if that's what it comes down to feel like you're capable of like competing, being a parent, working, then I think that's the thing that people need to go and take away from this. And if you do that, maybe you lot will go and win your jiu-jitsu competitions too. European gold on your first one.
Yes, I can guarantee it.
Yeah. That's the advice we're leaving with people. Awesome. Well, thank you for jumping on and chatting with me today. That was a really fun conversation. It's really cool to hear about the training you've been doing, kind of how you got there. And I think it'll be really interesting for people to hear. So thank you for being so open and just sharing that. Before we
Oh,
jump off, though, what are the next goals for you? What's coming up? I know before we jumped on, we were talking about there's a no-gi comp in a couple of weeks, and I know we've got Worlds at the end of the year, but what's next and what are you looking forward to?
yeah, so I've got those two things as my kind of like my main focus. And um God, I'm not sure. I guess like working towards my purple belt then now, isn't it?
Yeah.
In regards
That's the
to
next step.
jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like for me as a parent as well, like I wanted to encourage my kids as well. I was hoping that my daughter especially, because my son is going to start competing again in skateboarding.
Nice.
I wanted my daughter to enter into a comp, so I'm hoping that this is going to kind of like motivate her into trying as well, seeing that her mum's doing it.
Putting in the hours, putting in the work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to see how the comps go. It's going to be really interesting to see you compete in Nogi because I know you're a gi person. You're the opposite of me. I'm a gi hater. Could not be more of a gi hater. I'm absolutely no
Mm.
gi, but
Yeah, I'm a bit worried about the takedowns in Roby, but
oh, it's way easier. It's so much better. It's so
it
much better.
was, it's way easier. It's way easier. It's like, yeah, but
I
it's
think
not.
like it's easier both ways though. So I think it depends on your style because obviously I know you mentioned you like control, but you must have a mean double leg. Like you must have a mean double leg. I don't believe that you don't.
I don't know. I'm a bit scared to do it, to be honest.
Just
But
that's no. You just bang straight into him, head first. Just smash. Because you can't hold on to them, I suppose. So it's like I like it because I like escaping. I like counter wrestling, so I like to scramble. Whereas if you
yeah,
like to control and set up shots,
I
like
like
it's
control.
really annoying if like me as a counter is
Yeah,
going,
yeah,
I can slip out now, yay!
yeah. I feel like my grips are really strong, so I like to slow people down, and like to control and hold them, which I feel like is the opposite, isn't it? In no-gi, it's like it's very quick, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like well, I don't know. Then again, like sometimes I think that, and then I roll with someone who's just a lot better than me, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like I can't do anything.
I know. How do I do spider guard?
Yeah.
No-gi.
There's a black belt here. There's a black belt here called Jan, and I can wrestle with him if it's wrestling rules. He's still better than me, but I can like keep up. And then it goes to jujitsu, and I'm just like, I feel like a baby. I'm like, I don't think I've learned any jujitsu in the last like 6 years. I can't do anything to him, and it's like nogi, and I
Mm.
feel like he's like glued on my arm or something if he's controlling me.
Yeah, yeah, that's
It's
what I mean. It's like you get them off one limb, and then it's like suddenly they're wrapped around like another work. But anyway, it's like
yeah,
I'm gonna try.
that
I think as well, like that whole thing we were talking about before, like putting yourself out there, trying something new, all of
yeah.
that sort of stuff. So
Yeah,
it'll be
this
good
is
for me.
put your money where your mouth is. You said you like feeling not confident in things,
Yeah,
so
I know. I'm like,
switching to
oh,
Nogi out the blue.
like this.
That's the mix up. That's how we get it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for jumping on with me today. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I'll stick my Instagram, Geeta's Instagram down below. And if you want to come work with our team, come work with Geeta and get coached by her, then I'll also leave the link for that below. And you can just click that and come join the team. Thanks for listening, guys. Catch you later.